We're doing it. We're doing it. So I'm happy to have filed my nomination papers today. I've got a small number of the 1,000 volunteers who have signed up to help with this campaign with me today. We rode the C train down from the end of the line at Saddletown Station, the station we opened during this term, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today. You know, I did the same thing 3 years ago. The train line was shorter then. We rode from McKnight Westwind Station, but the volunteers were just as enthusiastic. Certainly walking in, I was walking in as a challenger, I was walking in as an underdog, and now I have 3 years of record to discuss with the Calgarians and defend with Calgarians. Well, you know, people are super happy with it. Just a couple of weeks ago, The Economist called us one of the 5 best cities in the world in which to live. Our citizen satisfaction ratings have never been higher. People are even happy with their city council, but that doesn't mean that we can't do a better job. So in broad strokes, building an even better Calgary means building an even better transportation network that advantages choices across modes, whether you want to walk or take transit or drive. It means building a better community, an even better community. That means investing in things like the arts and culture and sports and recreation and libraries, which this council has done a great job on. It also means looking after the less fortunate and implementing the Calgary poverty reduction strategy. We're talking about building even better government. Our cut red tape initiatives and our strives to find efficiency in the existing government have led to tens of millions of dollars of savings already, but we can do an even better job. We need to take the spirit that city workers showed during the flood and figure out how we do that every single day at our firm. And finally, even better growth. We have to end the suburban subsidy. We have to ensure that we have a level playing field for growth on the outskirts of the city and growth within the city. And that's growth that we can afford and that we can serve with infrastructure.
Are you supporting incumbents on council?
You know, several incumbents asked me if they could use a picture of me and them in their brochure. And I've worked with them for 3 years, so I said, yeah, anyone who wants one can use a picture. Anyone who would like a quote from me, a factual quote about their work, can have that as well. You know, I've said before that we've got a council that works together well. There's no slates, there's no coalitions, there's no ideology. We figured out how to work together well. And I'm happy that 12 of my colleagues are seeking re-election and want to do this for another 4 years.
Are you endorsing them?
Well, as I said, I'm happy that they're running. I wouldn't be upset if all of them won, but I'm looking forward to vigorous races in all of them. And as a voter, I'll be looking forward to seeing what the challengers bring forward too.
Are you going to name favorites in open ward or support people in open ward?
Nah, I mean, I probably won't, but because I don't happen to live in an open ward. You know, I certainly will read very carefully in Alderman Lowe's history and legacy. I will read with great interest all of the stuff that those people are bringing forward, because at the end of the day, we need to elect people in those open wards who will be able to work with council and who will be able to advance the vision of an even better Calgary.
Why did you decide to allow them to use a picture? And obviously it's a complimentary product.
They kept asking. So many of them asked, I thought that the fair thing to do was to offer it all.
But does that sound like, is that an endorsement? Or?
You know, we've been working together for 3 years. It would probably be hard for many of these aldermen to find a photo in an opening of something in their ward that didn't have me working around the fringes of the photo. And people ask me every day. In fact, the single most common question I get at the doors out in the community, the single most common question I get is, which councillors support your vision? Who should I vote for city council? And if I'm asked that question, I'm certainly not shy of giving my opinion. Who should you vote for in Ward 8? I haven't done my research in Ward 8 yet, but I'll get back to you.
Are you not in for meetings?
Well, you know, when we talk about a slate, and the thing that I'm concerned about a slate is a slate of people who will decide how to vote prior to the vote happening. That's what we had before 2010. We had 8 to 7 votes all the time. It was always the same 8 to the same 7. And I don't think that the city was very well served by that. What we've had for the last 3 years is a tremendously ideologically diverse council. But you'll have an opportunity where a guy like Peter DeMong and an alderman like Drew Farrell, both excellent aldermen, will actually work together on a bunch of stuff. And if we have partisan politics, we would lose the value of folks like that being able to work together, and that's what I'm doing.
How many aldermen have taken a
Yeah, I just saw that this morning from the Insurance Bureau of Canada. I mean, it's interesting because the Insurance Bureau of Canada suggests that the insured losses of the flood are, if my numbers are right, about $1.6 billion. We know that the total losses in the flood are between $5 and $6 billion minimum, which certainly points to the need for government and for the public to have to cover a very, very large portion of those costs. And we continue to do that. This city, this year, the city alone will spend about $150 million on rebuilding infrastructure that was broken. There's not a choice in this. This is not frills. This is rebuilding desperately rebuilding things that are broken, including getting the LRT back up, rebuilding the trail, and cleaning up bridges, pathways, and riverbanks across the city.
How is the campaign differently without any?
What about your anti-oil lobby? Sorry, we're in a media, so we can talk to them afterwards.
Are you an accredited media? Then we'll talk later, thanks.
Just curious how the race
Anti-oil lobby.
You'll have to speak a bit louder.
How is this race?
Well, that's not true at all. There are a lot of competitors with a lot of different life experiences. In fact, John Ward has served as a public servant for far longer than I have, and I understand he may have filed his papers today. So I think that I'm looking forward to a really vigorous debate. The great thing about democracy is that you get an opportunity to take your ideas out, and people get to choose what vision and what ideas they want better. And certainly, I've been a long advocate for very strict campaign finance reform to make it easier for challengers. I'm not spending $1 billion on this race. I'm trying to keep it as tight as I possibly can for the sole purpose of allowing competitors to get their voices into the debate.
Not to heart. Endorsement is the wrong word.
I will give my honest opinion on everything, as I always do.
Many of the candidates are saying that tax increases over the last years are big issues.
Well, when you look at the numbers, several media outlets are publishing a 30% number, and it's sort of a shame that no one has bothered to do the math. Total taxes, municipal plus provincial, over the last 3 years of this term have gone up a total of 11%. If you look only at municipal numbers, which includes the tax received by the government, it's building the library, it's building 4 new rec facilities, and that is fixing sidewalks across the city. If you include that, it's 18% for 3 years, 6% per year, which is barely ahead of inflation and population growth. Our property taxes remain the lowest of any major city in Canada, and that's a record I'm happy to stand on.
Could you comment on that?
Yeah, I will, because maybe one interesting thing for you to know is I don't own a time machine, Mr. Heather. I don't own a time machine, and given that that was in 2007, and I was only elected in 2009, you might want to find something else to complain about.
Principal writer on the Magic Calgary 100.
So if this is what the debates are going to be like, Mr. Heather, I suggest you might want to follow the rules a little bit better. Thank you. Well, a bit of both, really. I would never call it a coordination. I'm running hard. There are 1,000 volunteers who have signed up to do this. They are going to be very, very busy. Those purple t-shirts are going to get very, very dirty. And we'll be doing a lot of conversations with people throughout the city. So certainly it's not a coordination. Maybe it's a referendum on me. I guess that's how incumbents always are. And I'm happy to stand by the record. We have certainly seen that all the numbers are moving in the right direction. We're investing in important infrastructure. People are happier now, according to every survey, than they have been before. We were able to implement 10 of my 12 better idea platforms last time, and I'm absolutely happy to stand on that record.
A lot of challengers are coming to 11, 10, 14 years ago.
We need to get a chance.
Well, if anyone calls this current council a field of yes men, I suspect that they need to pay a lot more attention. It's sort of amusing that we have columnists who alternatively say, oh, the mayor gets everything he wants, and oh, the mayor has no control over his council. The fact is, these are 14 or 15 individuals who represent every part of the city. In our last term, as I said before, we had a dress designer, an air traffic controller, a flower shop owner, a lighting designer, and people with MBAs. And all together, we represent part of the community, the whole of the community, and we get together, we hammer things out in public, and we make what we think is the right decision for the city.
Folks, we have time for one more question. So, are you making any changes?
This is an even better election. If you like, I'm not the kind of guy who would come up with a bunch of brilliant ideas 3 days before the election and start talking about them, frankly. If I had a good idea in the last 3 years, well, I got paid every 2 weeks, and I should have brought those ideas forward. So what you're going to see... I would like to see the best possible city council members on this council. And if people like the work that this council then the existing city council should take credit. If they don't like it, if they want to change, then I encourage them to really push hard on the challenges to figure out what that change looks like.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah.